And so tell me about Peter. I want to know more about him. What was he talking about and how was he talking about it that you recall just grabbed you straight away as a 16-year-old?
Well, it's a good question. I've got a shocking memory, but I just remember his enthusiasm. He was very animated and obviously just sold it really well. He was talking about the opportunities in ag, which seemed to be really, plentiful. And I guess as a student, worrying about, what job I might get, an industry where there was plenty of jobs seemed really appealing, and just the wide range of things you could go in from ag, because I remember thinking about some of my friends that were doing teaching. Like, you do the course, you become a teacher, essentially, and maybe you can choose primary school or high school. Whereas ag, I remember him saying, well, there's people that go out of ag, work for a bank, or you go work with livestock, or you work with plants, you could be a consultant. There was just all these different things you could go into and sort of form a different career. And I think at that stage, I was sort of just, like I said, I sort of fell into it. I was sort of floating through things, and keeping my options broad seemed pretty appealing. And I guess one of the things that probably sold it to me over maybe like a pure environmental science or a job where I might have ended up just studying a single native plant out in the forest somewhere was, obviously it ticks the box of being outside and working with science and plants, which are appealing to me. But the fact that in agriculture you could be working a lot more with people, and the work that you're doing is having a direct benefit on people, I think was something that I wanted to aspire to as well back then. I didn't think the employment opportunities would be there. But I think towards the end of the grad program, I remember I was driving down the Hume. I had a bunch of dry matter samples to drop off to Nick, I think, because my partner was living in Melbourne at that stage. So I was coming down to Melbourne anyway, so I was dropping some samples off to Nick, and we just met at the Tullamarine Hungry Jacks. And so Nick was like, oh, let's go sit down and I'll shout you a burger, which I thought was awesome. I don't mind a bit of takeaway. And it seems a bit dingy, but it was in that Hungry Jacks that he asked if I would like to work full-time for Far Australia. And I always feel guilty about the way I feel like I've almost floated through my career and just fell into positions. But we've been really lucky to build the team at Far that we have. It's made me realise that I need to enjoy my work trips a lot more. Like, I'll be looking back in 10 years, maybe I don't know what I'll be doing then. I'll just still be floating through life probably, but I don't want to look back and say, I've been to all these beautiful places and I couldn't tell you the best place to eat in Esperance or the best site to see down in Tassie. So I guess that experience going somewhere with my family, exploring some of the regions and what they have to offer, I think is something that I need to take forward more in my career. And it's something I'm trying to encourage the younger staff around the company to do. Just take a bit of time, spend an extra weekend in a location somewhere and don't rush it, and just take it in, because potentially you won't have that opportunity forever. So there's not many people, I think, in our kind of roles as researchers that would get such a national exposure. The farming systems in WA are completely different to Tassie, and Tassie's completely different to Victoria. And I think that's so unique and such a great opportunity for learning that we're a team that works really hard. But I think when you look at our turnover within the team, we've got a fairly consistent cast of people working for the business, because I think we just love what we do, even though at different times of the year it's quite challenging. So I thought that was really special. And that final year, I remember, I think it was the Southern Panel came out to have a look at the trials, and naturally with one of their tours, they'd been held up all day, and by the time they got to us, I think they had about an hour before they had to go catch their flight. And so Nick and I were literally running around the site trying to get them to all these different trials to see. We had this mantra of seeing is believing, and just trying to get them to see all the differences we had. And that final year of hyper-yielding cereals, I think, really acted as the launch pad for hyper-yielding crops, which then became the national project and went across Australia. Because in that final year down in Tassie, we were having a field day, and I think 70% of the people coming to the field day were actually from the mainland. And we had growers coming from WA and New South Wales, Victoria, saying, oh, we want some of this work in our area. And I think when you got that grower support, that's what you really strive for in the work that we do. So it's become quite a passion for me to try and get across to those people in any way possible and just say, this is a brilliant industry to be a part of. But I think it's really important to get your story out there, and don't be shy. You don't have to have 50 years experience for it to be interesting or changing for somebody, because you just don't know what their thoughts are, I guess.